there, YouTubers. So, I was gonna do a felting video today, but I'm thinking that's probably gonna be tomorrow because my power system has been pissing me off. So instead, I'm going to introduce you to my power grid. I have lovingly named it Grundle. Okay, so I have a solar power grid that I've been building. Had the Tesla wall in mind when I came up with this thing. So down here, what you see, those 4 batteries were rated at 1 kilowatt of storage each, and those 2 were something like 750 watts of power storage each. Now the jumper cables is because I had to do an emergency rewire when I was up in the mountains, or up in Seattle, not mountains, and the sun was just not in the sky enough for me to get charge, and it was always overcast. So I've got a 48 volt system up on the roof, and it wasn't even pulling down 18 volts most days. That is a TriStar. I've got the faceplate somewhere, but I took it off so that I could do power testing when I was in Washington and never got around to putting it back. So what I'm going to be doing today is hooking it back up as a 24 volt battery bank system. The reason why is because of these little beauties right here. And the reason why I have so many of these are DC to DC step down transformers, I think. I can't remember what they were exactly, but they're DC to DC. They take anywhere from 36 volts to 18 volts and convert it to 12.3, 12.4 volts consistent. It's a very clean way to use the power and allows me to get the batteries down to as low as 9 volts before I can't use the system anymore for more than just emergency DC direct power. And generally I don't try to use it at that point because that's stupid low. If you know anything about batteries, I'm already pushing them beyond their limits, but this is my 3000 watt peak power transform, or DC to AC inverter that can run, in theory, a welder at its lowest setting, or the welder that I have. I've never tried it because I don't want to risk blowing out this until I have the ability to replace these. But I bought these guys because the total combined amp draw for these 5 units is the amp draw required to make 3000 watts of AC power based off of the DC numbers. We'll have a video over unit math. So I'm not a electrician certified. I'm a tinkerer, a mad scientist. So the stuff I know is almost all learned off of YouTube or from a couple books that I've been through on how to do electrical, power grid, whatnot. I worked for a solar company for a while, and that's where I got the most of my education in electricity, solar based. Oh, sorry for the lighting. As I get better at doing all of this stuff, the lighting issues will go down, and I'll have tripods and stands. I want to actually have cameras mounted everywhere so I don't have to even worry about it. I just hit record on all of them and pick whichever ones have good shots. But we'll have videos for building that in the future. But what I'm doing today, like I said, is taking these battery banks back up to 24 volt banks. So what that's going to entail is me taking the parallel rails, and as you can see I have them originally separated into segments, and then this one doesn't because I didn't have enough batteries to make 2 sets of this. But what I have is 2 batteries tied in parallel, so that's 2 12 volt cells, but it halves the amp draw on each of the batteries. And then I tied them in series and connected those in. And I was going to do that with an extra set. And I think I might actually be able to pull it together to where I have two 24-volt cells tied in parallel, making it easier to pull the amperage that's needed at the lower voltage levels. Again, we'll have a video explaining all of that. So what do we got on these bad boys? 4, 11.3. If I get it hooked up now, I might actually have a decent charge on all 6 cells. No, you were the one that was over there. You're the one that goes right there. Popping off hot. Killing the connection so I don't fry all my 12-volt stuff by hooking it up as 24-volt all of a sudden. Straighten this beastly chunk of wire out. Alright, you're my computer. You got nothing else in the spot. You're always going to be much anti-social with bags. No positive leads connected anywhere, so time to have some fun. See what I can do while I still have a little sun. Oh, come on, get on there. There. Now you're gonna get wet, aren't you? Oh, you're so much better than your sister. Alright, so that should be. Alright, those are dirty bad people. That should be 12-volt cell A. Okay, what am I doing wrong? This should totally be reading at 24. Yes, there we go. 24.36. So there's that. You, baby bad boy, put you in. You're going to read by 22. Yeah, 22.8. So this needs to be the positive post. I'm going to jump to the negative, and that was always one of my janky connections. Okay, let's put you on here. On. So 23.5 volts between both cells. Now that they're starting to level off, we take this bad boy and reconnect it to my sun. Even though it's fading, I still get a little bit more charge in. Boom. Give you a crank down. Crank that monkey, you crank that monkey. So now when I take the meter up here to the solar, I should see the same 23-ish, 24 volts. 24.3, and that's including the solar panels averaged with the batteries and rising. So I am still getting some charge in. So what I have is a 48 volt cell system on the roof and a 24 volt cell system down here running through 36 to 18 volt DC step down to 12.2. And these bad boys will get connected to my 12 volt rail, which then connects to my AC to DC inverter, which can't go above 12 volts. I need a 24 volt one of these, and it would negate some of this. It would negate the need for that. But see, I like that because it allows me to use the batteries at a higher rate of charge they're not very expensive on power, and it runs that at a much smoother output than when it's running straight off the batteries. And I pretty much don't have to worry about that running out of juice and giving me the nasty squealing sound effect, because the whole system just fails at the same time. If this guy starts to squeal, these guys will shut off everything at the same time, because it's just too much draw for these to continue making 12 volts for that to run. And people might think, why do I go overboard with this stuff? Why did I do it that way? I have gotten significantly better performance out of it with this build of 48, 24, 24 to 12, 12 to AC 120. I'm wouldn't be surprised if an electrical engineer came in and looked at this and went, wow, you love wasting your power. But I just, it's amazing how well this performs and how much usage I get out of it. There's been days where I sat in here shop working with a grinder and power tools, all corded, belt sander, hand saws, and I finished out the day with a full charge on the batteries, and then that ran me through the night watching TV, playing video games. So, I mean, this is just a first introduction. We'll go over it more, and this system is going to get better. Like I said, I want to have 2 parallel, even 24-volt banks, because it's going to even perform more efficiently. And at that point, I have about 8 kilowatts. I just know that when I was running straight off the batteries, I never once had its power output come close, even with calculated losses, to the 1 kilowatt a cell that I was supposed to be getting off of these for. But as soon as I put this bank in, I've been getting a consistent 1 kilowatt per battery, which means I could just math it bigger, and this bank would easily be scalable to 12, 24, 30, whatever kilowatt consumption you need. And my idea was put twice as much power generation in a 10-hour period on the roof as I need for the batteries. And that gives me runtime in the day plus charge for runtime at night. And so far, that math has actually worked out really well for me. But I think I'll call it there, because the system's wired. I'm getting what little charge I can as my sun is fading in the mountains of Colorado, which is much better. But I did a test this morning, and I'm back up here, unlike in Washington where I was hoping for 22 volts during the day. Here I'm getting 44 instead of 48. So I'm very happy with the power coming in. And that's why I decided to put it back on a 24-volt system. That's kind of ugly. I will want to redo all of these connections and stuff. And this is some old washing machine washer that I just cut strips out of and drilled holes through, because it has a negligible resistance. It's steel. You know, it conducts electricity. It's the same as the contacts in all your battery packs. But yeah, all right. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to ring the bell when you get done doing the thing.